We're on. Okay, welcome to the show, Mr. Bud Collier. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Actually, tell everybody a bit about yourself. We're live and we're recording right now.
Okay, well, I'm Bud Collier, and I live down here in Houston, Texas. And about 5 or 6 years ago, we saw a need to start working in the schools for anti-bullying, and we saw a need for emergency management. So I'm a retired veteran. About 8 of us got together, and we were doing emergency assessments in the schools for the schools down here in Texas. Well, found out there were no funding. We had a board of directors, and about that same time, 2010 or 11, my daughter, who was Mexican and white, was having a lot of problems growing up, and she was being bullied. She had a cleft lip, palate, and the whole thing, and heavy, and all those things that potentially get you bullied. So I'm keeping an eye on her. But she's growing up in her 20s. She got murdered, got stabbed over 100 times.
No
down
way.
in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And her mother was in the military. So it's one of those family stories where veteran and veteran, I'm on this side of the world or she's on the other side of the world. And I had a part of her life, but not like her mother. And so after she got stabbed on 26 December of 2011, we'd already started the anti-bully programs. And we had put in for our nonprofit status. So we already had probably about 6 months to a year waiting for our nonprofit status. Well, during this time period, I'm talking to her on a weekly basis, and a lot of things about Facebook will tell you a lot about people. And John and I, we know that more than anybody, don't we?
Oh yes, that's right. It seems like Facebook brings out the true colors in individuals.
Yeah, you get that behind the. My wife calls it typing courage, or the courage where normally that person would not confront you that way. Well, I'm watching her on Facebook, and I'm watching her friends and her posts, and I'm asking her, are these guys okay? And she's kind of throwing some gang signs, et cetera, et cetera. So, but somebody got mad at her and stabbed her 100 times, and leading up to that, her mother had went down to her trailer house because her stepfather had been killed in Afghanistan the year before.
Hmm.
So Betty, my ex-wife, lost her husband, and now so they bought Candace this nice, beautiful double wide. She's living in that. Well, Betty went down and ran all these young kids that were staying there, and Candace is in her early 20s at that point, and they got mad. So a couple of days later, Betty went back down to get some stuff, and these kids, imagine your house, and they go in and gut everything, kick everything down. It's uninhabitable. And so these were little gangbangers, or whatever you want to call these kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so Candace moved in this real crappy part of town, which is in an apartment, and a couple of months later, Betty, her mother, found her stabbed on 26th December.
That is so sad. So what happened with the case? Was anybody convicted of this?
Well, it's one of these, as you look at what's going on down here in America, and unless it's some really famous kid, there's so much violence in some of these places. They never did find the killer that I know of, and but it devastated Betty. I mean, she lost her daughter and her husband. And all within about a year time period.
That's
but
sad.
supposedly, what do you do with this kid? Here's another unsolved murder. It goes on and on, and but see, I'm a old white guy from Houston, but when I go down in the inner city to the Third Ward or the barrios, the kids are looking at me. Okay, old white guy. Well, you worked at NASA. You're a veteran, et cetera, et cetera. So how bad could your life be? And you throw that out on them. Because the only good thing about violence, if there's anything, it doesn't care what color you are, how much money you got. There's no discrimination from violence, and it's going to get you. And that's the only good thing, which is not a good attribute. So as we empower these kids, we've got our websites, we've got our board of directors that we talk to kids about, but my whole staff has evolved around something has happened to them in their life, where they've either been self-harm, they've been bullied, there's discrimination, and as we look at bullying is just a different form of discrimination. It's just, we're coloring it discrimination, or we're coloring bullying.
I find it as a different form of abuse.
Yes, the same way, yes. So, our stance at I'mBullyFree.org is no kid or nobody deserves to be bullied or discriminated against. And anybody that's doing that, they're breaking the law, and that's how we stand. Now, a lot of these groups, what they stand for, do I agree with it totally? No, there's nobody, but I still support them. I don't have to support what your outcome is totally, but I support that kid does not deserve to be bullied or that workplace. And, does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Very good sense.
So, I'll get 2 or 3 calls a week from parents that are announcing that their kid's getting bullied, and I'll start talking to them. And so since 2012, since we first started keeping notice, we've probably seen over 200,000 families and kids at events, churches, and all kinds of different events. The YMCA, you know what a YMCA is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I would love to get into every school. I mean, that's every anti-bully group's dream. But I see this, and this is my opinion. I'm sitting here as the director, and I see what the schools want. They want you to come in and do an awareness program, sing and dance a little bit with my bear or a singing star, and leave. In my opinion, and that's what they want from me. You don't get that second invite till next year. And so what we started doing is what causes one kid to be bullied and another kid almost identical doesn't get bullied. We haven't figured that out. We don't know why this kid's targeted, but a lot of times I think that kids are targeted because they have a disability, they're heavy, they look different, or they're beautiful. Here's an example of a beauty queen. Vanessa Rangel in 2012 was one of the first kids that I started talking to about helping us being an ambassador for I'm Bully Free and Bully Bear. Mm-hmm. So she's out of California. She's a Cuban background. So she's running for junior miss in San Pedro, just outside of Los Angeles. And she's a beautiful young lady. She's probably 15 then. So as I start talking to her, and talking to her mom and dad, and before I talk to any kid, I make sure that their mom and dad knows I'm talking to them, because that's kind of creepy for an old guy to be talking to a teenager. Yeah. And so as I get to know Vanessa and her background and her mother, I found out that 2 or 3 years earlier she had some type of disfiguration of her jaw, which made her look unusual. And this is her mother's telling me that the kids were contemplating on killing her because she looked different. They just didn't like her. Well, of course, you ever seen the thing where we take the paper and wad it up in a big ball, and then you try to iron out all the wrinkles and scars in it? Well, you never get rid of all those scars, no matter how much I clean up that paperwork, right? Or that rolled up paper. Well, that's what happened with Vanessa. Well, they fixed her jaw, and she's a beauty queen. I mean, she is so beautiful. Mm-hmm. And so she was one of my advocates. Well, she's in college now, and she's taking biochemistry, which is one of the hardest degrees for your 4 degree. But guess what she's going to be?
Why is that?
Plastic surgeon.
Oh, nice.
And that she's aspiring to be a plastic surgeon to give back to the kids, so that doesn't happen. So as you find these people that are being bullied, most of the time they can almost have a reason why they're getting bullied. Whether they're autistic, Asperger's syndrome, they're in a wheelchair, or they look different. They got, there's usually a reason for that targeting. In most of the time, do you see that when you're working with families?
I see a lot of it every day.
And it's every day. Well, tell me a little bit about your child. Tell me a little bit about what happened. And it's all the same. You can almost put it in the same compartment of the bully house, I call it. You can almost compartmentalize that, you know. But now when it comes to verbally attacking a kid, or physically attacking a kid, see that they call that bullying a lot of times. That's just a hate thing where kids are fighting. And so that's where when I'm working with the parents, I go. I had one grandma down here in Houston, right? She calls me and said, "Well, these kids called my kids the N-word, right?" And I said, "Okay." So they yelled at it across the street from I said, "So was it one time every day?" It says, "Oh, it's one time, and I want you to bring Bully Bear down here, and I want you to set these kids straight." I said, "Well, that's an isolated, you know, that's kind of like a discriminatory hate thing. But when does it become bullying? As you know, we've got these definitions from our government and CDC. It says if it's a continual thing that bothers you, same thing probably in Canada."
Yeah, that's right. See, what it is if you just say something once, it's pretty much just a matter of opinion. But if you keep doing it, then it becomes a hate crime.
And see, this is where I get in with the family members and what's happening to their kids. It's like, and remember, I'm not comparing Canada to Houston, Texas, or the United States, but bullying and attacking a kid, it's the same thing, no matter where it is across this country. But it depends on what the police and the state officials look at it. Same with UK. But remember, these are some of my opinions, and I'll say it right in front of everybody. But sometimes when a kid gets attacked in school, physically gets beat down, you know, there's no police called. It's the police that works there in the school. There's no charges filed. But if a bunch of kids do that at the mall or the theater, some kid's going to get arrested, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And a lot of times, if me as a 60-year-old airborne veteran attacks some little kid in the mall, I'm going to get arrested. But me as a teacher, if I attack a kid and there's really not a lot of evidence, it goes away sometimes. And you hear about that all the time. So that's the difference between schools and how they've kind of corralled and protected themselves. And I'll say that it happens all the time because I got case after case and testimony after testimony. But where I'm seeing some of the failing of the schools is they're not filing their paperwork correctly. We were talking about that earlier.
No, they're just breezing by it really quickly, like they don't care. They just want to hurry up and get it done. They're just lazy, it seems like. I know what you're talking about. I've heard a lot of complaints about that. It even happens here. The teachers are lazy. They don't want to get too involved in it. They just want to hurry up and have it done and over with.
That's right. See, I teach at a major university, flight physiology and human factors for pilots, Embry-Riddle. So when I've only got 15, 20 students in my class, it's easy. But when I have 30 or 40 students in my class, my work's tripled, and I don't get any more money, right? So this is what happened in America. We lost a lot of money. Now the class loads are tripled in some of the schools. So see, and so now the teachers' workload is incredible. They're working at home all the time. Now you want me to throw an investigation? You want me to throw some paperwork out and figure that out? But a lot of the handbooks that are out there that tells you what happens to the kid, it will state that even if the bully incident results in not a bully incident, they're supposed to fill out some paperwork.
Yeah.
And they're not. And who's policing that?
Exactly.
Not very many people can get in there and police it.
What really upsets me is that the teachers, they don't have any knowledge on what to do when bullying occurs or when it happens. It seems like they're so dumbfounded. There's got to be some type of a thing in place where it trains these teachers in a better way of dealing with bullying and how to actually promote anti-bullying within the schools rather than expelling teachers that actually wear jackets in schools or so forth. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of backwards what I'm seeing.
Well, and I'm just talking from what I've heard and seen and experienced. Me and you as teachers, if we go up against that superintendent or that principal, and whatever they say, drop that, and you keep going on, possibly going to be fired.
Well, yeah, it's like it's like being a politician and going against the president.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So it's a fine slope, but see, when I start working with a case, and we were talking about some of the cases, and it's like Carol Todd with her daughter. See, that wasn't school related, but it was cyberbullying. We'll get back to that one later. But cyberbullying in schools, teachers in the schools throw their hands up. Oh, that didn't happen here, or what can they really do? But say, for instance, I won't say her name, but her daughter was raped by one of the star football players up in Maine. Right, 11-year-old daughter.
Wow.
So she's going up against the schools now, and or Linda Barrow, when she was up in Oregon, she was one of my first cases, I'll call it, whatever you want to call it. And a coach threw a chair at her son at a basketball game, right? And all she wanted was some type of action done against that coach. Give him some education. You can't do that. And you see these coaches abuse the crap out of these kids.
Oh yeah.
Historically, all the way up to the NFL, but especially in college level. Well, Linda's a good case where you go up against that icon, that coach in that little town, and he's got the championships, and he's got all these kids that have been to college, and he's their savior and all this stuff. Yeah. Well, I would actually get calls from people in her town saying Linda's this, degrading her character. Mm-hmm. But the whole time I'm thinking, I really don't care what Linda does at night. It's what that school did to her son. So this went on, and she got all kinds of different threats because the whole town's mad at her. She didn't stop, and certain things that we found during that investigation, that the schools falsified records. That they called this kid in. Now here's a 15-year-old kid, and you've got the superintendent, you've got the principal, and the coach. Kids that say just about anything because they're intimidated. They got him to sign some paper. Yeah, he agrees that this really didn't happen. And we found evidence that we even had a letter from the president to her saying that bullying is bad. Don't stop that. It didn't even faze the superintendent up there. That was up in the state of Oregon. Well, she's a great advocate. Well, at the end of the day, the chair throwing wasn't bullying, but that guy had done it a lot, right? An ongoing behavior. So who knows what else he was doing. But her son's in college. In fact, he's getting ready to graduate from college. But the impact on her was she had, you know what PTSD is?
Post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Yeah, you can get that from somebody attacking you at school, from bullying, abuse.
Oh, right? Oh yeah. Sexual abuse. And that. I suffer it myself. Of course.
Exactly. But see, what happened to her was she had suppressed and forgot some of that crap that happened to her with her brother abusing her all through her life. All of a sudden now she's having these panic attacks. And a lot of times when these kids get attacked and they're bullied and they bring that home, the parents relive that again, and it starts them depression. Mm-hmm. But see, when you have a kid that's bullied, and it really affects them, that affects the whole family. That affects the whole family.
Oh, of course.
And what do you do when you find your 15-year-old or 13-year-old daughter hanging in the closet and she's not, and she didn't die? Well, you can't leave that daughter in the room by herself for a long time.
That's right.
And that was it was 2012, and M. Deuce was one of these rappers that I used. See, I figured out, remember, and not to be bragging, but I can put together a slide presentation that would bore Congress here in the United States. And I can put the slide, but the kids are interested in about how long? A minute, 2 minutes? When you start reading, slides to them and metric statistics, But what I do is I throw in music with these advocates. Mm-hmm. So, and I figured out, I can take rap to probably 90% of the world, and the kids will accept that. Country music, rock and roll, that doesn't work in certain sectors.
Yeah, right? I guess it wouldn't, no.
I can't take Lawrence Welk or one of those guys. He could have the greatest song ever, but I know I can take rap to most of the places that I go. So M. Deuce is out of Seattle, and he wrote this little song called "Let Me Live," and it's on my webpage. One of the first people up there, and I've got some country stars, and I got some progressive rock up there. But when I play that song "Let Me Live," people get it. So M. Deuce made some songs with Busy Bone Thugs and Harmony. They're like the Beatles of rap.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, so when I go M. Deuce, they go, "Who's that?" I go, Thugs and Harmony and Busy Bone. Oh yeah. I said, well, these made songs together. Well, he made this little song. It's got almost 2 million hits off of YouTube to it. He's never even sold it. But his background, here he is, black father, white mother, Seattle. Did he get bullied? Good chance of that, right?
Yeah,
but
there's a chance.
guess what else was wrong with him? All of his organs from his belly and intestine were on the outside of his stomach. So they put him back in. He had this nasty scar for the rest. He had no belly button. So when you're in the shower, if you look a little bit different, kids are going to make fun of you. So in that song,
if that was the case, I'd turn around and start making fun of the guy that even looked at me.
Why are you looking at me? You gay or what?
Why are you even looking at me to make fun of me, you sicko? Yeah.
Yeah. So he wrote this little song, and next thing you know, when I first approached him, this was like 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's going. I can imagine his thought. He goes, "Dude, what? Who are you from Houston? Some white dude trying to get me on board." So we got to talking. Next thing you know, his first event that he flew down was in Midland, Texas. That's a little, where you ever see Friday Night Lights. It's all football down there. I mean, football, our football, not rugby or soccer. And that's big time in Texas. That's bigger than oil, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we fly him and Michael Hill, one of my other advocates, and so we've got this on TV, and it's about 200,000 people going to go to this outdoor event. This is like in March, so it's going to be nice and cool. Weather's nice, and out of 200,000 people, now this has been put on the TV. Guess how many people showed up for this event? And now remind you, before there'd been 8 little girls that had committed suicide in that area in the last year. 8 little girls because of bullying, violence, or abuse, or whatever it is. Guess how many people showed up? Well, what would you think, John, as would be a good event, people-wise?
Well, I don't know. I'm just curious as to how many people showed up.
500. That was it.
That's
500
it?
people. That was it. At the thing, 500, 800 at the most if we give it that. That's what we're estimating. Right? Now, and I'll say this, if it had been their star football player or their star basketball player, hell, there would have been everybody down there. Even the NFL football players, I do believe, or basketball players.
It's pretty sick how it takes an icon in order for something to really boom.
Well, at the end of the day, M. Deuce is down there, and Michael Hill's one of my advocates, and like I said, he grew up in Watson, Compton in the old days. You either played with the gangs or they killed you or whatever. I don't know how to say it purposely with it, but it was very in the 80s and 90s. Well, how he got out of the gangs is, how do you get out of gangs? You have to leave the country. Well, Michael joined the military, and now he's a war veteran, war hero, and he's Joe Osteen's bodyguard part-time, which is a big time preacher here in the United States.
That is awesome.
But see, so Michael and those guys are out there, and I trust Michael. He's like my son, even though he's a black kid. I love this kid because of what he stands for, and he's been with me since 2011. Working with Unbelief Free, and nobody in our group's ever had a salary, which is everything we do is for the kids, and we haven't had that big fundraiser to where we even get our money back for anything we're doing. But besides that, so M. Deuce is there, and Michael's talking to all these little girls, and her name is Nikki Ontiveros. She's there, and she's that little girl at 12 years old where Marcia found her hanging at home and caught her before she died.
Oh.
But to this day, and so we still talk to Nikki and Marcia all the time because we have a bully bear out in Midland that they use once in a while. And but she credits, which is Nikki's mother, that she's alive because of M. Deuce and Michael testifying with them and working with them. But during this whole time period, once that kid attempts suicide, what do you do with him? You can't trust him anymore, right? Because when attempting suicide by hanging yourself, that one you can't take that one away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
How many kids up in Canada commit suicide every year under the age of 17?
It's climbing. It's definitely climbing. I think just this year alone, I think, what was there, 11 to 17 or something like that? I can't remember. It's up there.
But see, we have over 4,000 in the United States. We have no idea how many are attempting it or thinking about it. You know, I wouldn't even begin to know that. But you know, we did an event up in at the Armed Services YMCA with the kids. And another thing that we're seeing is, you know, if you have sugar diabetes and you need to take insulin, kids will make fun of you because you're taking medication, or they'll get mad at you because you get to eat something in the classroom or whatever. Does that make, you know, that jealousy thing?
Yeah.
I don't understand why Bud can have an orange and I can't. Well, he's sick. Well, they're 8, 9 years, you know, with juvenile diabetes. That make so as we're looking at this. One of the NFL football players, Evan Oglesby, we got together and said, you know, why don't we go up and go to the Armed Services YMCA and do an 8-week anti-bully and anti-obesity event with these kids. So he flew in from Atlanta, and I drove like 4 hours up there. It was because see, since I'm a retired veteran, I see an invest with these kids for the military. Plus, I was a military dependent. So for 42 years, all I knew was the military. That new kid, see, you move every 2 or 3 years. So you're that new kid in that town, and it's not all military town. That makes sense. So as that new kid, you're having a hard enough time with your hormones and and all of a sudden you're that new kid in town and you get picked on. And so that's why we targeted the Armed Services YMCA. Get back to those kids. Well, at the end of the day, for the 8 weeks, the staff of the YMCA had to be bought in because had to buy in because see, while we're not there, they have to make sure that the kids do the little workout and the anti-bully thing during 2 or 3 days a week. But our metrics showing what these kids kids could do 1 push-up at the end of 8 weeks. They were doing like 15. That's huge, isn't it? And I don't know what the kids look like in up in Canada, but certain sectors of our city, kids are just obese. They're fat.
It's growing. And it seems like, and I mean, I'm seeing obese kids at such a young age, and I've never seen kids this big.
Yeah,
it comes down to the parenting, though. That's what it's got to come down. It's obviously in most cases, anyway. It could be a thyroid problem with the child, where it's not. You know what I mean? But a lot of the times, I see where it's the parents' fault. They like to feed the kid just to shut the kid up. They use it as like a babysitting tool. It's no different than sitting the kid in front of the television set.
Yeah, well, here's your iPad and some macaroni and cheese and potatoes.
Yeah,
leave me alone.
Here's a bucket of chicken.
But I've got to go work another job to feed you, right? You see that a lot.
Yeah.
You know, the single parent where one of the parents in jail, or the parents overseas fighting a war, and now this mom's trying to, or it's a money issue. See, if I got $20 in my pocket and I've got to feed 4 kids, where am I going? I'm going through McDonald's, one of those fast foods.
Yeah.
Just to fill their bellies up. Do I really? And what do you do with a 25, 26-year-old lady or a man that really doesn't understand diet? You have to understand that. So at the end of the day, we're invited back to 3 or 4 of the YMCA. But what was even more disturbing was to get 150 kids to fill out a survey is incredible, right? And these kids under the age of 13. So I got 150 people to do, and the simple thing was, are you afraid to go to school? Are you being bullied? Right? Yes or no? Not what happened because that they're not going to answer. Would you step up if somebody was getting bullied? Blah blah blah. Well, and I don't know if it's because they're military kids or whatever, but about 85% said that they would step in if somebody was getting bullied. Right? But 27% said that they were afraid to go to school.
That's sad.
27% of that 150. That's over 50 kids, right?
That's over a quarter, yeah.
Yeah, and so, but what was amazing is I posted that in a paper, the local paper, and guess how many calls I got from the parents?
How many?
0.
That's...
But see, if I go, 27% of the kids that go to that movie theater up there in Alberta or Houston are afraid to go in there. Are you going to send your kids? You're going to drive down there and see it, right? 27% of the kids that go to this hockey rink are afraid of getting attacked or bullied. Are you going to send your kid there? Probably not. No. But why would they ignore this? We haven't figured that out,
It could be just pure laziness, my friend.
Do what?
It could be just pure laziness.
And I think what happened in 2011, it's about the time Carol's daughter committed suicide, it was every day it was bully this kid committed suicide, this kid, You just saw CNN and every day. And we'd start getting numb to it. Like watching the war every day. You just, all these atrocities that go on. But, and again, this is my opinion and what I've seen from around the world. Unless your kid is coming home and getting his butt kicked for whatever reason and has bruises, et cetera, you really don't get excited about it. Even though it's on TV, you go, oh, how sad, that little girl hurt herself, and you turn off the TV and you go about your life a lot of times. Unless it hits home, It's hard to hit them. Because you could just go on YouTube and type in bully death, and how many hits will you get?
Oh, lots of news articles. I've already done that. Like, I'm serious, I have done that. I've seen so many. It's astonishing. It's sick. And then the worst part, the hardest part is trying to get the message out to a lot of these people, because it seems like, because I said they're lazy, they don't want to take the time to get involved. If they feel like it's subconsciously too much work for them, or too much stress and strain, or they don't want to get their name plastered everywhere, or there's always some sort of excuse when the only reason that they feel that way is because they've been bombarded and totally socially convinced by their system's ways, and it's got to change.
Yeah. You ever seen the Bully movie?
No, not yet.
Lee Hirsch. That's the one that's on Netflix. And that was the original Bully movie that probably set the standard. That was the first big movie, and millions of people have watched it. What year did that come out? Probably 2012.
Okay, it's on there. I have Netflix, so I'm actually going to check this out tonight.
Yeah. And Lee Hirsch did a great job, and it was more of a documentary. Millions of kids have seen it. It's been in schools. Well, the first man on there is David Long, Tina and David Long. Mm-hmm. And I'm having a brain block what their nonprofit is. One stops her. But if you just type in Tina Long in Facebook, you'll be able to find their answer. But besides me going off on a tangent with their name, David and Tina's in this movie. They're one of the first ones. Well, Tyler was their son. He was in his teens, and he hung himself. Right? So, and all they really wanted was for the school to say that they were guilty. And they offered to settle out of court, pay him money. Right? And he goes, nope. And now I'm just paraphrasing, and what I remember talking to David is that they said if you go to the Supreme Court and you lose, we're going to sue you for the lawyer fees, which were six figures.
Oh, wow.
I'm a retired veteran from the military. I don't have six figures, or 100,000 plus just to give away for a chance for my family, right? I don't know too many families that have that. Well, at the end of the day, David got on Ellen, all these other TV shows, and guess what happened? Nothing. His kid is dead. The schools have not really done anything up there, and he's still an advocate, running around trying to. No, and it just goes on and on and on with those movies. And but see, but what's the first thing you tell families when their kids get bullied?
What do I tell them? What do you tell them?
Yeah. What I tell them, I said, you've got to start an evidence trail.
Oh, yeah, I always tell them. I tell them, even if you can record it, if you got a recording device, it's best to do that. And if you don't have one, I'll loan one out to you to help, right? Or set up some hidden cams.
Let me pull up something real quick here.
But yeah, I know exactly. They got. You can't be lazy. If your kid is being bullied, you got to do something about it. You got to step up. You got to do more about it. Get more involved. Protect your child. It's your kid.
Well, you remember a few years ago down here in the United States, and it might have been worldwide, all these kids that were autistic were getting abused by their teachers and the kids in the classroom.
Yeah.
Remember that a few years back?
Well, it still happens.
And, it still happens. But parents started wiring up with their kids. Right?
Oh, yeah. That's what should happen.
That evidence. And getting that evidence, and then they could use that in court, whether it's legal or not. But the atrocity of that school teacher, doing that to the kid, but it's their word against the teacher's word. Well, here in Texas, you know who does the investigation? The school board. They do their own investigation.
Yeah, and they cover up their stuff half the time.
Oh, yeah. And, but there's a lot of good schools, but there's a lot of bad teachers. Even though that, and there's a lot of bad principals. So Bob, and this is on one of my web pages, which is Kids in Development Tour with my NFL football player. So Bob Richardson, he's a disabled Vietnam era veteran, blah blah blah, all those things. But he was bullied out of work. So he's got this app that goes on your kid's phone, and it's a free app. You go up to the store on your telephone, and you pull down Bully-Proof Assistant. And you know what that does?
What?
The free app. You can type in where you at. Are you getting bullied, cyber bullied, physical bullied? Do I feel like I'm in harm's way? And you can take a picture of that kid. See, that's a time photo, right? There it was. This is what I know. But you can send it to your mom via your telephone, or your advocate, or your HR department if you're an older person being bullied. But that starts that documentation.
That's right, because that's right. Older people do get bullied. Even us at our age, we get bullied.
Yep, we get bullied every day at work by somebody,
Yeah.
Well, even we bully people. We don't realize we're doing it. Because I'm gonna do something to get my way, and I learn how to manipulate things. Some guys just do it by yelling, right? You've met there, but this is a good app, and he just put this out, and he's getting ready to put it on the iPhones. It's for Androids only. But see, that starts that proof.
Android
and but Bob and I have developed that, and I'd like to get him on your show because he's got a story that's just about what happened to him, and he's developed this app for the kids. Yeah, but even after you get proof, sometimes nothing happens because when you do that complaint system, it's called a grievance here in the United States. There's a series of 4, but see, that grievance is for something with some infrastructure, a facility issue, or a syllabus issue. This is a safety issue, and now we got to go through 4 stages to to get people to make it. So I don't think we have the right tool for grievance.
No. It should be, bullying's got to be classified as something else in the criminal code in order for it to change.
Yeah.
That's what you got to fight for. It's got to be considered as a way of assault, and if they continue it to the point where someone commits suicide, that should constitute as murder.
Yeah. But you remember the little girl down in Florida that jumped off Rebecca jumped off the concrete platform facility?
I think I remember hearing something about that. Yeah.
Rebecca, forget her name. I see her pretty little face. She was like 14. Well, these little girls admitted that, they didn't care if she died, and they kept cyberbullying her through the telephone and the internet. And the chief of police in that city was going to arrest those two little girls. Remember, he got fired.
Oh, I don't remember.
One of those things where that family and the little girls really didn't care if Rebecca, when she killed herself or how she killed herself. And, there's actually websites that promote that kind of attitude.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty sick. It's very sick. It's like they're purposely trying to make the society change and go in the opposite direction with nothing but hate and evil. We got 3.5 minutes left. You got to finish this off.
Before I leave, though, but I want to thank you for helping Mr. Edward Hubbard shut down that website the other day.
Yeah, well, I looked at it today, actually. I got a message from Facebook directly from a staff member. He was informing me that it was reinstated, actually. So he's been pleading some type of amendment in order for it to get up. So it's back up and running, I noticed today. So a lot of people and other members, the pedobusters and everything, are trying to report it and get it down. Because who's running it? And the people who actually like it don't understand that this guy is one sick individual, and he's using this to get gratification, this page, which is really sick. And the people that follow it, if you keep following that, you must be in the same mind frame as the sick guy that made it.
If I'm giving a family member, because when they come to me, they want us to tell how to stop it, right? You know that, John? They go, give me that aspirin, give me that medication. Well, when I tell the parents, they go, if your kid's getting cyberbullied, you take the internet away from them and their damn phone. You give them a phone where there's no internet. That might help. And they go, we can't do that. Jimmy's got to play on. I go, well, there's where it is.
Well, if you can't do that, they can still limit it. Put a limit on it.
Yeah. You're right, but see, even though I protect them at home, as soon as your son or daughter walks out that house, there's that kid with the telephone that can show them every filthy website, every bad, good website out there. So it's that education. But at least while they're in the house, they get a break from that damn cyberbullying. But see, think about even when somebody is saying bad things about me, I want to hear about it, even though I know it's not going to be good, right? We're inquisitive. We want nice things said about us, but it's like that guy that went after Edward, Edward Hubbard, and where you helped him put that website down. Yeah. Hundreds of these are out there, and
it's sick. And they're using social media to attack everybody. I know. Yeah. It's pretty sick.
Well, Edward and I made the mistake of trying to get involved with cyberbullying with grown-ups. All you can do is like, man, that's a bunch of grown women and men fighting over cyberbullying. And I just go, one of you guys are going to step over the line and go to prison.
Oh yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Especially with those guys. The guy that makes that page, he's just an idiot. He's more amusing than anything because it shows how stupid he really is. Yeah. And people that follow him so hilarious.
Carol Todd's mother finally got Amanda's guy. You remember Denmark? And I think they had him arrested.
Oh yeah. They did. Yeah. So that's right. He did get arrested. But anyway, we got 43 minutes. I gotta end this.
All right.
Anyway, everybody, this is Bud Collier. I'm bullyfree.org. Right? Is your number?
Yes,
your number's still the same as on the website? The 713. Yep. Everyone knows where to get a hold of you. 478-3049. Awesome.
3049. Yep.
Awesome.
And
okay.
the biggie is that bullyproof assistant app that we have up there. It's a freebie, and that starts protecting your kid from day one.